Welcome. Take a breath. If you're here right now, chances are you've been carrying more than you show. There's a moment that comes late at night. The house is quiet. Your phone stops lighting up. The day is over, but your mind isn't. And that's when it hits you. Not all at once, just a slow, uncomfortable truth. No one is coming. No message. No rescue. No sudden turn that fixes what's been breaking inside. Just you, sitting with the weight you've been postponing. Maybe you've been strong for a long time, doing what was expected, handling things quietly, telling yourself you'll deal with it later. But later keeps coming, and nothing really changes. That night isn't a failure, it's a threshold. Because when the noise fades, something rare happens. You finally hear what you've been avoiding. And in that silence, there's a different kind of strength waiting. Not motivation, not hype, but clarity. Tonight isn't about tearing yourself down. It's about learning how to stand on your own feet again. Calm, grounded, intentional. Let's talk about what that night is really asking of you. That clarity you felt in the quiet doesn't fade. It lingers. And once you notice it, you start to see something else. Most men aren't exhausted because they're weak. They're exhausted because they're fighting the wrong battle. You can feel it in your body. The tight jaw on the drive home. The way your shoulders stay tense even when the day is done. The replaying conversations. What you should have said. What someone should have understood, how things should have gone. It's like carrying a weight that never gets put down. A lot of that weight comes from trying to control things that were never yours to control. Other people's moods, the past, outcomes, recognition, approval. You check your phone one more time. No reply. Your chest tightens. You tell yourself you don't care, but your body knows better. You rehearse arguments in your head. You explain yourself to people who aren't listening. You brace for conversations that haven't happened yet. That's the real drain, not work, not responsibility, but the constant internal resistance against reality. The Stoics noticed this long before our lives became this loud. They watched men burn themselves out trying to steer storm's crowds and fate itself. And they drew a quiet line. On one side of that line are things you don't own, other people's opinions, the past, how fast results show up, whether someone appreciates what you give. On the other side is what's actually yours, your actions, your standards, your responses, the way you show up when no one is watching. The exhaustion eases the moment that line becomes clear, not because life gets easier, but because you stop wasting strength. Think about a moment from today. Someone cut you off in traffic. A coworker dismissed your idea. A family member pushed a familiar button. Notice where your energy went. Into the event itself, or into the story you built around it. The Stoics weren't telling people to suppress emotion or become cold. They were teaching something more practical. Don't give your nervous system a job it can't complete. You can't control whether someone respects you, but you can control whether you keep your self-respect. You can't control how quickly life responds, but you can control whether your actions align with the man you want to be. That shift is subtle, and it's powerful. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" you start asking, "What part of this is actually mine?" Maybe it's choosing not to send that message. Maybe it's finishing the workout even when no one notices. Maybe it's letting a moment pass without proving anything. This isn't about giving up. It's about precision. When you stop swinging at everything, your strikes matter again. Your energy stays where it belongs. Your decisions get quieter, cleaner, and slowly, the sense of being constantly on edge begins to loosen. Not because the world changed, but because you finally stopped arguing with what was never under your control in the first place. That's the first real victory. That first victory changes how you move through the day. You feel lighter, not because problems disappear, but because you're no longer leaking energy into everything at once. And then it happens. A moment so small most people miss it. You're standing in line for coffee. Someone cuts ahead. A comment slips out. Sharp, casual, dismissive. Your body reacts before your mind does. Heat in the chest, a tightening in the hands. Words line up ready to fire. This is where character is built, not in the dramatic decisions people applaud, but in these quiet intersections, seconds long, barely visible. You don't do anything yet. You notice the space, the half-breath between what happens and what you're about to do next. Most men live their lives inside reflex. Someone pushes, they push back. Someone doubts them, they prove something. Someone disrespects them, they escalate. It feels strong in the moment, but it keeps them trapped. The Stoics paid close attention to this space. They didn't call it discipline or willpower. They saw it as ownership. What happens to you is an event. What you do with it is a choice. That difference is everything. Picture it clearly. A message comes in late at night. A familiar tone. the kind that always pulls you into the same argument. Your thumb hovers over the screen. You know exactly how this ends if you respond the usual way. This is the fork in the road. One path is automatic, fast, familiar. It protects the ego. It spends energy. It leaves you drained. The other path is quieter. It doesn't explain. It doesn't win. It simply chooses not to react. That choice feels uncomfortable, almost like swallowing words you've rehearsed 1,000 times. But something else happens. Your nervous system settles. Your posture changes. You feel yourself standing a little straighter inside. This is the Stoic insight most people miss. Character isn't what you believe. It's what you practice under pressure. Every time you pause instead of react, you're training something. Every time you choose alignment over impulse, you're laying brick on brick. The Stoics didn't chase emotional control. They aimed for clarity. They understood that emotions rise on their own, but actions are chosen. You can't stop anger from knocking, but you can decide whether it gets a chair at the table. That moment in line. That message at night, that urge to prove yourself. Those are the gym reps of character. You don't need to announce the choice. No one needs to know. There's no reward ceremony. The benefit is internal. You walk away intact. Your energy stays yours. Over time, something shifts. People notice you're harder to provoke. Situations that once pulled you off center don't land the same way. Not because you're detached, but because you're anchored. This is how identity actually changes. Not by declaring who you want to be, but by choosing again and again how you respond when it would be easier not to. Character isn't built in comfort. It's built in these seconds. And once you see them, you start noticing them everywhere. Once you start noticing those seconds, another misunderstanding tends to surface. A lot of men think rebuilding means tearing themselves apart. Harsh self-talk, punishment disguised as discipline, an inner voice that says you're weak. You need to be harder. It sounds tough, but it doesn't last. You can feel the difference when it shows up. You miss a workout and the mind goes straight to insults. You slip back into an old habit and suddenly the verdict is final. This is who I am. I always mess this up. That isn't strength. That's erosion. You don't rebuild by destroying yourself. Picture a house that's been standing through too many storms. The foundation isn't gone. It's just cracked in places that were never meant to carry that much weight. No sane builder shows up with rage and a sledgehammer. They start by inspecting. They reinforce what still holds. They remove what no longer fits the structure. The Stoics thought the same way about a person. They didn't see growth as an act of violence against the self. They saw it as alignment with something sturdier. Instead of asking, "What's wrong with me?" they asked, "What kind of man am I practicing being?" That question changes everything. There's a quiet moment when you catch yourself reaching for distraction. The phone lights up. The couch looks inviting. The excuse forms automatically. You pause. Not to shame yourself, just to notice. That pause is wisdom beginning to work. Wisdom is seeing clearly what matters and what doesn't. Courage is choosing the harder action when the easy one calls your name. Temperance is knowing when enough is enough. Justice is how you treat others without abandoning your own standards. These aren't lofty ideals, they're tools. You don't need to attack the part of you that wants comfort. You need to stop letting it run the day. Think of a morning when the alarm goes off and everything in you wants 5 more minutes. You don't negotiate. You don't insult yourself. You simply sit up. That act isn't dramatic. It's decisive. Or think of a conversation where you would usually over-explain. You feel the urge rise. The old reflex wants approval. This time, you stop after one sentence. You let the silence sit. No punishment, no speech in your head, just restraint. This is how a different identity forms. Quietly, through repetition. The Stoics didn't believe in becoming perfect. They believed in becoming consistent. Consistent with your values. Consistent with your word. Consistent with the man you respect when you're alone. Self-respect doesn't come from winning every battle. It comes from choosing which battles deserve your energy. When you stop tearing yourself down, something unexpected happens. You become steadier, less reactive, more patient with your own learning curve. That patience isn't softness, it's structure. You begin to trust yourself again. Not because you never fail, but because you know how you'll respond when you do. Rebuilding isn't about erasing who you were. It's about practicing who you are becoming. And that happens one calm decision at a time. That steadiness begins to show up in places you didn't expect. Not as intensity, not as pressure, but as alignment. Discipline gets misunderstood because most people meet it the wrong way. They treat it like force, like dragging yourself forward by sheer will teeth, clenched emotions ignored. That works for a while, then it breaks. You've seen it. A burst of effort, early mornings for a week, clean eating until the first rough day. A promise made in the heat of motivation that collapses the moment life pushes back. That's not discipline, that's friction. Real discipline feels different in the body, quieter, cleaner. It shows up in how you set your morning before the world reaches you. The alarm goes off. The room is still dark. Your mind offers a dozen reasons to stay where you are. You don't argue. You don't hype yourself up. You sit up anyway. Not because you're forcing yourself, but because that action matches who you're trying to be. This is where Stoic discipline lives, not in punishment, in alignment. The Stoics didn't build their lives around feeling ready. They built them around standards. They asked a simple question: what would the disciplined version of me do here? Not someday. Not when things calm down. Here. Alignment means your environment, habits, and decisions stop pulling in opposite directions. Look at a normal evening. Dinner's done. The couch is calling. The phone is within reach. Nothing dramatic. Just drift. Discipline doesn't shout in that moment. It whispers. You clear the table. You put the phone face down. You open the book you said you would read. No ceremony, no audience. That small act keeps your identity intact. The Stoics understood something modern life makes easy to forget. Your nervous system follows your structure. If everything around you invites distraction, willpower gets exhausted. If your space supports focused discipline, becomes natural. This isn't about becoming rigid. It's about becoming honest. Honest about what drains you. Honest about what strengthens you. Honest about the cost of inconsistency. Alignment shows up in speech too. A conversation starts turning unproductive. Old you would explain, defend, overtalk. This time you keep your sentence short. You say what matters. You stop. That restraint is discipline. Not forced, chosen. The Stoics didn't train themselves to endure discomfort for its own sake. They trained so discomfort wouldn't run their lives. Cold mornings, simple meals, routine. Not to prove toughness, but to remove dependency. When you stop needing comfort to function, freedom opens up. And freedom isn't doing whatever you want. It's doing what aligns with your values, even when it's inconvenient. That alignment compounds. You begin to trust your word again. Not because you promise big things, but because you keep small ones. You stop waiting for the right mood. You move when it's time. Discipline stops feeling like a battle and starts feeling like relief. Less negotiating. Less back and forth. More follow through. This is what keeps a man steady over decades, not weeks, not force, not intensity, but a quiet agreement between who you say you are and how you actually live. When those line up, effort becomes simpler and progress stops depending on how you feel that day. That's alignment. That alignment has consequences, not loud ones, quiet ones. You start noticing a shift in the room when you speak, a pause where there didn't used to be one, a look that lingers a second too long. Nothing dramatic, just a subtle resistance. Some people loved the version of you that stayed small, the one who answered every call, the one who laughed things off, the one who said yes even when it cost him sleep, focus, or self-respect. That version was easy to predict, easy to lean on, easy to interrupt. You didn't make waves then. You kept things smooth. You made it easier for everyone else. As you change, that ease disappears. You leave a gathering earlier than you used to. You don't explain. You just say you've got an early morning. Someone jokes about how you've become serious. You hear the edge in it, not cruel, uncomfortable. You feel it most in familiar places. A family dinner, an old friend's living room, the same stories circling the table. You don't add much this time. You listen. You notice how the conversation keeps pulling toward old habits. When you don't join in the air shifts. This is where many men turn back. They tell themselves they're being selfish, cold, distant, but that story misses the point. Outgrowing people isn't about judgment, it's about direction. The Stoics understood this with clarity and restraint. They didn't teach isolation. They taught alignment. If a relationship pulls you away from your values, the cost isn't abstract. It shows up in your sleep, your patience, the way you look at yourself when you're alone. Justice in the Stoic sense isn't about pleasing everyone. It's about acting with fairness without abandoning your standards. That means no speeches, no moral lectures, no burning bridges, just boundaries. A call you don't return right away. A conversation you don't stay in once it turns corrosive. A habit you don't share anymore. These choices feel heavier than they look. You might hear things like, "You've changed. You used to be fun. You think you're better now. You don't argue. You don't defend yourself. You let the words pass because you know something they don't." People often confuse familiarity with love and predictability with loyalty. Some connections survive because no one grows. They rely on old roles staying intact. When one person steps out of that role, the structure wobbles. That discomfort doesn't mean you're wrong. It means the dynamic is adjusting. The Stoics didn't advise cutting people off in anger. They advised choosing distance with dignity. You can care about someone and still stop meeting them where you no longer live. You can appreciate history without repeating it. You can wish people well without following them back into patterns you've outgrown. This isn't rejection, it's refinement, and it requires courage of a different kind. The courage to be misunderstood for a while. The courage to let silence replace explanation. The courage to trust that the right connections don't demand you stay small to be accepted. As you hold your ground, something else happens. The noise thins out, your time opens up, your energy returns, and slowly new conversations appear. Quieter ones, clearer ones. People who don't need you to perform, who respect your boundaries without testing them, who recognize growth when they see it. Letting go like this isn't loss. It's making room for steadier relationships, room for deeper respect, room for a life that doesn't require you to shrink to belong. That's not selfish. That's alignment applied to people. That room you made doesn't stay empty for long. When the noise falls away, when the old pulls loosen, what's left is quieter than most people expect. Not a rush, not a breakthrough, just a steady sense of direction. That's when it becomes clear. Tonight counts. Not because something dramatic happens, but because ordinary moments stop being wasted. You brush your teeth and notice the day settling. You set your phone down instead of carrying it to bed. You think about one choice you made that didn't match the old pattern. Small, unimpressive, real. This is how change actually works. The Stoics never promised instant relief. They promised something sturdier. A way of living that doesn't depend on perfect conditions. They believed character is built by what you do when no one is grading you, when there's no applause, when it would be easier to drift. You've seen how that plays out. You stopped fighting what you can't control. You learned to notice the space between impulse and action. You chose alignment over punishment. You built discipline that fits your values instead of crushing them. You let distance form where growth required it. None of that made you loud. It made you clear. And clarity compounds. You start waking up with less resistance. Conversations feel simpler. Your word carries more weight because you hear yourself keep it. Not every day is clean. Some days still wobble. The Stoics accounted for that too. They didn't ask for perfection. They asked for return. Return to your standards. Return to what you can control. Return to the next right action. That's rebirth stripped of drama. Not a single decision that changes everything, but a series of quiet refusals to live beneath your values. Tonight is one of those moments. You don't need to fix your whole life. You don't need a plan for the next 5 years. Just one alignment. One thing you'll do before the day ends that respects the man you're becoming. One thing you won't do, even though the old habit is familiar. Maybe it's preparing tomorrow morning before you sleep. Maybe it's turning the screen off 10 minutes earlier. Maybe it's choosing not to send a message that keeps you stuck in an old loop. No announcement required. This isn't about becoming someone else. It's about becoming consistent. Consistent with your values. Consistent with your boundaries. Consistent with the version of you that doesn't need to be pushed or rescued. Marcus Aurelius wrote as a reminder to himself, not as a performance. He knew the truth most men discover late. Life doesn't wait for readiness. It responds to practice. Every aligned action leaves a trace. Every calm refusal strengthens your footing. Every night like this makes the next one steadier. If you're listening right now, let this be the moment you stop postponing. Not tomorrow, not next week. Tonight, choose one small act that keeps your structure intact. Then let the day end. You don't need to feel different for it to matter. You don't need certainty. You only need to show up quietly and keep your word to yourself. That's how this path holds. And it will still be there in the morning.